Good day, everyone. So, for today's agenda, we will discuss the assigned topic that is given to us, which is the strategy implementation. Staffing. Staffing is a process involves locating, selecting, hiring, and maintaining a professional relationship with potential and current workers. Human resources staff members are usually in charge of creating and implementing a company's staffing protocols to find quality candidates who will match its office culture and provide valuable work. An effective staffing process helps you find and retain strong candidates who are a good fit for your organization or businesses. More specifically, you can keep refining your staffing. Successful programs establish a continuous systems of evaluating and developing your relationship with employees and selecting for qualities that are most effective. Ideally, the process of staffing can help you find great employees and maintain strong relationship with them. Next is changing hiring and training requirements. Training strategies allow organizations to establish protocols for developing employees' professional skills. When staff members receive training, it helps them perform their jobs more effectively, raising overall productivity for the company. Developing a training strategy ensures these efforts work efficiently with your business operations to maximize the benefit of each training sessions. Next one is matching the manager to the strategy. Matching the right manager to the strategy is not a one size fits all approach. It requires a thoughtful assessment of the organization's goals and the manager's skills and attributes to ensure successful strategy implementation. Executive characteristics influence strategic outcomes for a corporations. It is possible for a current CEO may not be appropriate to implement a new strategy. Next one is selection and management development. Selection and development are important not only to ensure that people with the right mix of skills and experience are initially hired, but also to help them grow on the job so that they might be prepared for future promotions. Management development is a process used to create effective managers. A manager is anyone who works between the executive and entry level personnel with an organization that help those people perform labor to ensure the company reaches its goals. Management development programs usually enable managers to enhance their existing skills, such as resolving conflicts and communicating with others. There are both internal and external management development programs. A company might implement an internal management development program by providing individual mentorship, instruction from a human resources development representative, or management assignments for new or experienced managers to complete on site. External management development might include conference, seminars, or even university graduate programs. Management development can help organizations build more confident and effective managers. A management development programs allows a manager to develop their skills and learn how to recognize behaviors and accomplishments in the workplace. Once you understand the core principles of management development, you can implement a customized plan that works for a specific company's needs.
And now let's proceed to the problems in retrenchment. On January 28, 2009, Starbucks announced that it was closing 300 stores in addition to the 600 closures it had announced earlier and thus reduced its workforce by 7,000 people. Meanwhile, Hershey Foods closed six plants in the US and Canada and eliminated 3,000 US jobs like other companies at that time. Both firms were experiencing declining sales and profits at attempting to cut costs. Due to poor economy, more than 2.1 million US workers were laid off in 2008. This is called downsizing. Downsizing is sometimes called right sizing or resizing. It refers to the planned elimination of positions or jobs. This program is often used to implement retrenchment strategies because the financial community is likely to react favorably to the announcement of downsizing mula sa isang company na in difficulty. Such a program may provide some short-term benefits like pagtaas ng presyo ng stock ng kumpanya. If it is not done properly, downsizing may result in less than rather than more productivity. A study of downsizing at automobile-related U.S. industrial companies revealed that 20 out of 30 companies, either the wrong jobs were eliminated, offers of early retirement prompted managers, even those considered invaluable to leave. After the layoffs, the remaining employees had to do not only their work, but also to work of the people who had gone. So dito, pag nagkakaroon ng downsizing, yung, di ba, may mga naalis na empleyado, so parang nagkakaroon ng sapilitan na gagawin mo yung bagay na ginagawa ng dating empleyado. Next, because the survivors often didn't know how to do the departed works, moral and productivity plummeted. Downsizing can seriously damage the learning capacity of an organization. Creativity drops significantly, affecting new product development, and it becomes very difficult to keep high performers from leaving the company. In addition, cost-conscious executives tend to defer maintenance, skimp on training, delay new product introductions, and avoid risky new businesses, of all which leads to lower sales and eventually to lower profits. These are some reasons why layoffs worry customers and have a negative effect on a firm's reputation. Research shows that when companies use downsizing as a part of larger restructuring program to narrow company focus, they enjoy better performance. So there are following guidelines that had been proposed for a successful downsizing. First is eliminate unnecessary work instead of making across-the-board cuts. So, sinasabi dito na tanggalin ang hindi kinakailangang trabaho sa halip na gumawa ng board cut. Sinasabi dito na maglaan ng oras upang mag-research kung saan pupunta ang pera and how to eliminate the task, not the workers. If it does not add value to what the firm is producing, reduce the number of administrative levels rather than the number of individual positions. Look for interdependent relationships before eliminating activities. Identify and protect core competencies. Next is contract out work that others can do cheaper. For example, kinontrata ng Banker Trust ng New York ang mga service na service ng mailroom at pagpiprint nito and some of its payroll accounts payable activities to a division of Xerox. Kasi sinasabi na outsourcing may be cheaper than vertical integration. Next is plan for long-run efficiencies. Magplano para sa mga pangmatagalang kahusayan or efficiencies. Huwag basta-basta alisin ang lahat ng mga aring ipagpaliban ng mga gastos tulad ng mga maintenance, R&D, advertising, in the unjustifiable hope that the environment will become more supportive. Continue to hire, grow, and develop particularly in critical areas. Next is communicate the reasons for actions. Tell employees not only why the company is downsizing but also what the company is trying to achieve. So, mas mahalaga na alam ng lahat ng empleyado kung ano ang goal ng isang company. Next is invest in the remaining employees. Because most survivors in corporate downsizing will probably be doing different tasks from what they were doing before the change. So, kailangan mag-focus tayo sa mga natitirang employee kasi maaaring yung mga natirang employee ay naninibago sa panibago nilang trabaho kasi hindi naman yun ang trabaho nila noon. Additional training is needed to ensure that everyone has the proper skills to deal with the expanded jobs and responsibilities. Empower key individuals or groups and emphasize team building. So, mahalaga din ang pagkakaroon ng team building sa isang company. Next is develop value-added jobs to balance out job elimination. When no other jobs are currently available within the organization to transfer employees to, management must consider other staffing alternatives. For example, katulad ng si Davidson worked with the company's unions to find other works for surplus employees by moving into Harley plants works that had been previously been done by the suppliers. Now, let's proceed to the international issues in staffing. Implementing a strategy of international expansion takes a lot of planning and can be very expensive. Nearly 80% of mid-sized and larger companies send their employees abroad, and 45% plan to increase the number they have on foreign assignment. A complete package for one executive working in another country costs from $300,000 to $1 million annually. Nevertheless, between 10% and 20% of all U.S. managers sent abroad return early because of job dissatisfaction or difficulties in adjusting to a foreign country. Of those who stayed for the duration of their assignment, nearly one-third did not perform as well as expected. One-fourth of those completing an assignment left their company within a year or returning home, often leaving to join a competitor. One common mistake is failing to educate the person about the customs and values in other countries. It is because of cultural differences. Managerial style and human resource practices must be tailored to fit the particular situation in other countries. Because only 11% of a human resource managers have ever worked abroad must have little understanding of a global assignment's unique personnel and professional challenges. 90% of companies select employees for international assignment based on their technical expertise while ignoring other areas. A lack of knowledge of national and ethnic differences can make managing an international operation extremely difficult. For example, the three ethnic groups living in Malaysia, Malay, Chinese, and Indian. It those three groups, ethnic groups, share different religions, attend different schools, and do not like to work in the same factories with each other. Because of the importance of cultural distinctions such as this, multinational corporations or MNCs are now putting more emphasis on intercultural training for managers being sent on assignment to a foreign country. This type of training is one of the commonly cited reasons for the lower failure rates 6% or less than for European Japanese MNCs or to improve organizational learning, many MNCs are providing their managers with international assignments lasting as long as 5 years. Upon their return to the headquarters, these expatriates have depth understanding of the company's operations in another part of the world. This has value to the extent that these employees communicate this understanding to others in decision-making positions. Research indicates that MNC performs a higher level when its CEO has international experiences. So, sinasabi dito na mahalaga na magkaroon ng international experience ang bawat employee, lalo na ang mga manager. From their study of 750 US, Japanese, and European companies, Black and Gergensen found that the companies that do a good job of managing foreign assignments follow three general practices. They make foreign assignments to people whose technical skills are matched or exceeded by their cross-cultural abilities. They end foreign assignments with a deliberate repatriation process with a career guidance and jobs where the employees can apply what they learn in their assignments. Once a corporation Once a corporation has established itself in another country, it hires and promotes people from the host country into higher level position. For example, most large MNCs attempt to fill managerial positions in their subsidiaries with well-qualified citizens of the host countries. Unilever and IBM have traditionally taken this approach to international staffing. This policy serves to placate nationalistic governments and to better attune management practices to the host country's culture. Another approach to staffing the managerial positions of MNC is to use people with an international orientation, regardless of their country of origin or host country assignment. This is a widespread practice among European firms For example, Electrolux is a Swedish firm had a French director in its Singapore factory. Using third country nationals can allow for more opportunities for promotion than does Unilever's policy of hiring local people. But it can also result in more misunderstanding and conflicts with the local employees and with the host country's government. MNC, with a high level of international interdependence among activities, need to provide their managers with significant international assignments and experiences as part of their training and development. Such assignments provide future corporate leaders with a series of valuable international contacts in addition to a better personal understanding of international issues and global link among corporate activities. And now let's proceed to leading. Implementation also involves leading through coaching people to use their abilities and skills most effectively and efficiently to achieve organizational objectives. Kung walang direction, ang mga tao ay may possibility na gawin ang kanilang trabaho according to their personal view of what task should be done, how, and in what order. They may approach their work as they have in the past or emphasize those tasks that they most enjoy regardless of the corporation's priorities. This can create real problems, particularly if the company is operating internationally, dapat umangkop ang mga kaugalian at tradisyon sa ibang mga bansa. This direction may take the form of management leadership, communicated norms of behavior from the corporate culture or agreements among workers in autonomous work groups. It may be accomplished more formally through action planning or through programs such as management by objectives and total quality management. Maaaring baguhin ang mga pamaraan katulad ng pagbibigay ng incentives upang hikayatin ng mga empleyado na iayon ang kanilang pag-uugali o ang kanilang pagtatrabaho na nakaayon sa goals ng isang company.
Managing corporate culture. Strong culture are resistant to change. Optimal culture support mission and strategy. Management must evaluate what a particular change in strategy means to corporate culture, assess whether a change in culture is needed, and decide whether an attempt to change the culture is worth the likely cost. So, strong culture, a open and effective communication above all else, a space in which people feel comfortable in communicating ideas, thoughts, and opinions. It is something that a employee unwillingness to adapt to new circumstances. It's something that um, yung strong culture is mahirap baguhin kasi ito na yung nakasanayan ng mga employees sa isang kumpanya. And a problem for a strong culture is that a change in mission, objectives, and strategy is not likely to be successful if it is not compatible with the accepted company's culture. If there is a change in mission and it is in the opposition of the company's current culture, mahihirapang ma-achieve ito ng mga employees because it is salungat dun sa mga nakasanayang kultura ng mga ibang employees sa kumpanya. Next is optimal culture supports mission and strategy. Optimal culture is an ideal culture or madaling maka-adapt sa mga new changes. Optimal culture ensures that employee feel valued, engaged, and motivated to perform their best. Open and transparent communication, trust among employees which lead to better collaboration and problem solving. By investing in this cultural support, in initiatives, companies can establish positive work environment, thus contributing to overall success in achieving business objectives. So this optimal culture supports mission strategies. strategies. This will help to achieve the mission and vision of the companies. Next is management must evaluate what a particular change in strategy means to corporate culture. So, kailangan i-evaluate ng management kung ano yung mga pagbabagong magaganap sa mga strategy na makakaapekto or makakaapekto sa corporate culture or yung corporate culture is makakaapekto dun sa strategy if yan, and assess whether a change in culture is needed and decide whether an attempt to change the culture is worth the likely cost. So i-assess dito if needed na kailangan baguhin yung kultura ng isang kumpanya o yung culture ng isang kumpanya para ma-achieve yung isang strategy or mission, and if it is worth the change, it is needed that a culture and the mission strategy of the company is compatible to each other to achieve its success. Next is the assessing strategy culture compatibility. In implementing new strategy, these are the question to be answered if the strategy is if this strategy is compatible with the company's culture. First question is the proposed strategy compatible with the company's current culture? If yes, it's some the strategy needs to be done with as much speed and power as possible. If the new strategy will achieve the mission with the current culture, the strategy having no problem with its current company culture. And if no, then proceed to the next question. Can the culture be easily modified to make it more compatible with the new strategy? So, introduce set of cultural activities, minor structural modification, hiring new managers who are more compatible with the new strategy. If yung culture ba is madaling mabago para maka-adapt agad sa new strategy, para maging and if no naman is pupunta tayo sa third question. Is management willing and able to make major organizational changes and accept probable delays and a likely increase in cost? If yes, establishing a new structural unit to implement the new strategy, make some radical changes to be more competitive. Culture procedures are inflexible and accept. For example, top manager realized the company had to make some radical changes to be more competitive because the current structure, culture, and procedure were very inflexible. Management decided to establish a completely new Southern Division GM's first new division since 1918 to build its new auto. In cooperation with the United Auto Workers, an entirely new labor agreement was developed. Based on decision reached by consensus, carefully selected employees received from 100 to 750 hours of training, and a whole new culture was built, piece by piece. If not, then proceed to the next question. The next question is management still committed to implementing the strategy? So, um, if yes, they will find a joint venture partner or contract with another company to carry out the strategy. So, hanap sila ng joint venture partner to help them to implement or to achieve those company strategy. And if no, then formulate to different strategy. Man, managing cultural change through communication. Companies in which major cultural changes have successfully taken place had the following characteristic in common. So, the CEO and top manager had a strategic vision of what the company could become and communicated that vision to employees at all levels. The vision was translated into the key elements necessary to accomplish that vision. So, so companies with major cultural changes have been when there had been successful when there's been high level of communication to make them understand why it's important and make them be supportive of it. They barely have to break it down and explain it and everyone's role in the strategy and what they can do to make it successful and communicate the stakes of the strategy to the success of the company. So basically, if you're working for the company and they will tell you we don't successfully implement the strategy, the company is over and you're going to be if the company said that the strategy is over and parang parang yung yung strategy is hindi na implement ng ayos. So, you're going to be very motivated to get that strategy to work well. Method of managing culture of an acquired firm. So, choice of method should be used based on the people of the companies and what they really feel will be more and most successful way for the company to move forward. What culture is more conductive of making a successful business? The choice of method is the how much member of the acquired firm value preserving their own culture and how attractive they perceive the culture of the acquirer to be. First one is the integration. Equal merger of both culture into a new corporate culture. It involves a relatively balanced give and take of cultural and managerial practices between the merger partner and no strong imposition of cultural change on either company company. It merges the two cultures in such a way that the separate culture of both firms are preserved in the resulting culture. Its goal was to form one successful auto group from two very distinct companies. So it is a give and take in trying to balance both culture together to make the best possible culture out of the remnants of the two companies. Next one is the assimilation. Assimilation involves the domination of one culture over the other. The domination is not forced, but it is welcomed by members of the acquired firm, who may feel for many reasons that their culture and managerial practices have not produced success. The acquired firm surrenders its culture and adopts the culture of the acquiring company. So, assimilation means controlling one culture is gonna control over the other culture and just be absorbed into it. Next is conflicting. eh, Next is separation. Conflicting cultures keep intact but kept separate in different units. So separation is characterized by a separation of two companies' culture. They are structurally separated without cultural changes. So it means that two company culture and the culturization involves almost destroying um so yun, separation. Then next is deculturation. Deculturation involves the disintegration of one's company's culture resulting from unwanted and extreme pressure from the other to impose its culture and practices. This is the most common and most destructive method of dealing with two different culture. It is often accompanied by much confusion, conflict, resentment, and stress. The primary reason why so many executives tend to leave after their firm is acquired. Such a merger typically results in poor performance by the acquired company and its eventual divestment. Involves This deculturation involves almost destroying the unwanted or part of the culture and practices of the company, usually by letting people go or selling off divisions. So, action planning. Action plan state what action are going to be taken by whom, during what time frame, and with what expected result. So, a action planning is a list of to-do items or to-do action that needs to be done and who needs to do them and what time frame needs to occur and what what the result are of this. They need action plan in order for this strategy to be be successful. This is the step to take the people involved to do them. This action plan is planning tool, just a planning tool. Successful action plan need to be specific in action to be taken to make the program operational, date to begin and end each action. Next is person responsible for carrying out each action and person responsible for monitoring the timeliness and effectiveness of each action and expected financial and physical consequence of each action. And the last one is the contingency plan. So this action plan is a step or activities that needs to be performed well to execute the strategy well and to make it successful. So, yung specific action is yung specific goal na kailangan ma-achieve in the company. Date to begin and end each action. Kailangan may limit kung kailan magsisimula at kailan matatapos yung isang strategy or kung ano yung yung date na need na ma-reach agad para maging successful agad yung strategy. And person responsible for carrying, kailangan may mga assigned tasks in those strategy. Kailangan may mga person responsible in those tasks para para maging maayos yung implementation ng isang strategy. Yan. Then yung expected financial and physical consequence and the contingency plan. So, importance of action plan. So, importance of action plan is it serves as a link between strategy formulation and evaluation control. Next is specify what needs to be done differently from current operation. and help in both the appraisal and performance and in the identification of any remedial action. Explicit assignment of responsibilities for implementing and monitoring the programs may contribute to better motivation. So this action plan is serve as a guide para sa tatahaking goal ng isang company gamit yung mga strategy na na-formulate in the company. Yon. So, this action plan helps to work out the goals you want to achieve and when, and what you need to do to achieve them. This means you can focus your energy on exactly what you need to be to need what you need to do. Kailangan may specific na goal yung company para malaman kung ano talaga yung need na ma-achieve. So this action plan are useful then because they give you a framework for thinking about how you'll complete a project efficiently. They help you finish activities in a sensible order, and they help you ensure that you don't miss any key steps.
Now, let's talk about MBO or management by objectives. This is a particular type of management style where you lay out a set of objectives and you encourage employees to assure decision making and goal setting and performance assessment to achieve the objective. So, together, a company comes together and say, this is our management objectives. And the people participating in seeing and implementing and making these objectives are successful, these people is really a way of just a communication tool between managers and employees and really setting out of a framework of what needs to be done, and the process involves one establishing and communicating organizations objectives. That the most important thing, communication and saying this is what our objectives are. Maybe our objective are to expand into 800 additional retail locations. Our objectives are to increase the following product line sales by 50%. And then setting individual objectives based off of the larger objectives, and the individual objectives can be put into an action plan to achieve these objectives by assigning certain people who are going to be responsible. Another type of management style that works well is total quality management or TQM. And this is the philosophy of committing to a high level of customer satisfaction, a high level of quality, and high in a continuous improvement environment. And it's a real commitment to quality and excellence in all functions that the company does. So, some essential ingredients first is intense focus on customer satisfaction. Example, if you wanted to return a product, people they were suspicious of you. Why? Why do you want to return it? Or this is it was a really unacquainted inquisition to return anything. If you had a problem issue with a store, you were often unheard or you were even abused, not physically but verbally. So when the company is thinking about customer service and focusing a lot more then, we sort of gotten these more generous return policies. This is a more customers always right type of attitudes, and this more attention or patience with the customer. Second is the internal as well as external customers have to be looked at. So internal customers is inside the company and which could be thought of sometimes as employees or other people that deal with the company, and external companies which is the people actually buy their products in a retail level adequate measure. Or the third is the accurate measure of critical variable and the company's operation. So you really be the analysis and the measurement is critical. If you can measure it, you can manage it. If you can measure it, you can improve it. So you really have to be able to get in there and manage a process for documenting understanding of the critical components of the company and the manufacturing or service, and then figure out continuous improvement plan of these products and service. How can we make the products have higher quality, last longer, be more dependable, have less defects, have less deformities, and then New York relationship based on trust and teamwork. So really, you want people to be always thinking about the company first and working to the company's goals, not their own personal goals or the team goals before their own personal goals now. Now, there are dimension of national culture. First is the power distance, how accepting is the society on the distribution of power with an organization. So, in some societies, the people in charge of managers are almost worshipped, and there's an understanding that there is a certain amount of power that they have over employees and is accepted. And some cultures that they don't really gonna have that much of a power distance between the top managers and the staff. And the second is the uncertainty avoidance. Some cultures really hate uncertainty, where it just really doesn't sit well with employees and they really need to know what's gonna happen to their future, their employment status. They don't like uncertainty in other cultures. Like the as uncertainty is just something we're used to and it doesn't affect us as much in our cultural dimension. Third is the individualism or collectivism. That another thing that's very and collectivism and individualism is more like as a type of society where freedom and independence is an important part of a person and should be important part of a social framework. In the company and another culture, especially in Asia, collectivism is more tied to the social framework where there's more loyalty to the group and companies. Need to recognize those differences in the culture when the implementing strategies are thinking about staffing or policy decisions. Masculinity or femininity, to the extent the society is oriented towards the masculine or the feminine. So different societies have different rules from masculine and feminine. And even in our society, there are certain jobs are always thought of as a job that's more feministic and a job that more masculine. Last is the long-term orientation. Are the cultures really and the company culture really focused on long-term? Like a Japanese culture sometimes in more long-term than US culture. And Japanese employees look at working for a company for life and dedicating their life to a company and being, a longer-term commitment, where in the US, these things though of as more of a shorter term commitment, and people expect to have multiple jobs throughout their career.